In this lecture, we're going to start exploring logical operators. Comparing values is a common action within PHP. However, you may want to perform multiple comparisons. At the moment, we're limited to a single comparison. Logical operators were introduced to allow developers to perform multiple comparisons. In our script, let's say we wanted to limit our user base to users between the ages of 18 and 65. Above the data variable, define a variable called age with a value of 29. Notice how I said the word define. Sometimes, developers refer to the creation of a variable as a variable declaration. You may hear developers say define a variable or declare a variable. They all mean the same thing. Just thought you should be aware of that. Alright, moving along, let's set the data variable to the following: age greater than 18 and age less than 65. In addition, let's replace the operator from within the variable dump function. So, the AND operator allows us to add an additional comparison instead of one. This operator requires that both comparisons evaluate to true. If both comparisons are truthy, the value of the data variable becomes a Boolean true. Otherwise, the value becomes false. For example, let's set the age variable to 15. Technically, the age is under 65, but the age is not ever 18. Therefore, the data variable evaluates to false. There's another thing worth mentioning about the AND operator. The AND operator can be written with two ampersand characters or the word AND. Both solutions are viable. However, most developers prefer the ampersand variation. While the AND operator is great, you may want either condition to be true. For example, let's create a variable called permission with a value of admin. Restricting access to specific pages is a common practice. You may not want users to view the settings of a site unless they have administrative or moderation powers. It's unlikely that users are going to have both permissions. So, we might just want to check for one of these permissions. For the data variable, let's use the following value: permission equals admin or permission equals mod. The OR operator can be written with the word or with two pipe characters. The pipe variation is more common and preferred. If one condition evaluates to true and the other condition evaluates to false, the entire value evaluates to true. Overall, the OR operator allows for either comparison to be truthy for the entire line of code to evaluate to a truthy value. There's one more logical operator variable called the NOT operator. Thus far, everything checks for a truthy value. What if you want to test for a false value instead of a true value? You can do so with the NOT operator, which is written with the exclamation point character. You can add this character to the beginning of the value. For example, let's use the following value for the data variable: not permission. Next, let's leave the permission variable as an empty string. By using the NOT operator, PHP transforms a value into a Boolean before checking the value. After doing so, PHP checks for a false value instead of a true value. If the value is false, the operator evaluates a true Boolean value. As you can see in the preview, the value of the data variable is true. Technically, empty strings are considered to be false, but by using the NOT operator, that'll allow us to check for a false value. That's it for logical operators. In the next lecture, we're going to continue our discussion of operators.